My best friend tried to replace me in my own marriage. She didn't know I was quietly setting boundaries that would eventually ruin her plans. I met Jenna when I was 14. She was loud, bold, confident, the type of girl everyone noticed before she even spoke. I was the quiet one, the observer, the one teachers forgot to call on. She liked being the center of attention, and I liked avoiding it. Our personalities fit together like mismatched puzzle pieces that somehow locked perfectly. For years, she was my closest friend. She knew every heartbreak, every fear, every dream I had, but she also hated when anything good happened to me. I didn't see that side of her for a long time. When you grow up with someone, you think loyalty is automatic. You think knowing each other's secrets makes you family. You don't imagine they'll ever use those secrets to hurt you. The first hint came when I married Ethan. Ethan had a soft kind of warmth, the steady type of man who listened when you talked and actually remembered what you said. He worked in it, loved old vinyl records, and never made me feel small for being introverted. When he proposed, Jenna was happy for me, or so I thought. She hugged me with a tight smile and said, "I'm so glad you finally found someone." Finally, like I was the last chair left at musical chairs. But I ignored it. People say weird things when they're surprised. The tiny red flags started after the wedding. Jenna would show up at our house unannounced. Always at the worst times, date nights, lazy Sundays, mornings, when Ethan and I were having breakfast together. She'd knock on the door with iced coffees and say she just happened to be in the area, even if she lived 30 minutes away. Ethan was polite and kind to everyone, especially my friends, so he never complained. He'd say, "She's your best friend. Let's make her feel welcome." He didn't see what I saw, how she leaned forward when he talked, how she exaggerated her laugh at his jokes, how she always found a reason to stand next to him instead of me. Still, I told myself not to overthink. Marriage was new to me. Sharing space and time with someone else was new. Maybe this was normal. The second sign came when she began inserting herself into our conversations. If Ethan mentioned he liked Italian food, Jenna would say, "Oh, I know the perfect place. Ethan, have you tried that truffle pasta from Belmont's? You would love it." If Ethan talked about movies, she'd jump in, "Ethan, remember when I showed you that thriller? I knew you'd like it." One evening, she said, "I know Ethan better than you think. We've hung out before you married him. He's very easy to get along with." I froze. Hung out when? Why didn't Ethan ever mention this? When I asked him later, he said, "Oh, we didn't hang out. Hang out. We just crossed paths a few times when you invited both of us somewhere." She exaggerates, but something inside me tightened. One afternoon, Jenna and I were shopping for home decor and she casually said, "You know, sometimes I get the feeling Ethan isn't fully appreciated. Men like him, hard to find. If you ever slip up, some girl out there will snatch him." Some girl, she said it with a smile, but her eyes were sharp. When I didn't respond, she added, "Don't get too comfortable. Good husbands are rare." I laughed it off at the time, but the words stuck to my ribs like cold glue. Then came the small betrayals. She told me she forgot to invite me to a group dinner, but made sure Ethan went. She accidentally left my name off a birthday card for his mother, but wrote a long, thoughtful message from herself. She posted photos online of her and Ethan at events I wasn't invited to, captioning them with, "Love this guy. Always such a fun time," followed by emojis she knew I hated. Every time I confronted her, she'd say, "You're too sensitive. I'm doing nothing wrong. Why are you threatened?" That word, threatened, felt like a slap, but still, she was my best friend. And that's the thing about manipulators. They don't start with a blow. They start with a pinch. The bigger shift happened during our third year of marriage. Ethan got promoted. A big deal, higher salary, new responsibilities, new team. He came home excited, and we decided to celebrate. I told Jenna later that night over text. She replied, "OMG, I should take him out to celebrate. He deserves it. I'll plan something." Not, "That's amazing for both of you." Not, "I'm happy for you." Just her and him. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I typed, "We already have plans." She wrote back instantly, "Oh, well, you two enjoy then." The smiley looked like a threat. The next phase of her plan started slowly, small boundary crossings disguised as jokes. "Ethan probably prefers my cooking, not your bland, healthy stuff. I should be his stylist. He listens to me about outfits. You're lucky I'm around. I keep him socially alive." She said these things with a laugh, but she said them often too often. One night, we all went to a friend's gathering. Ethan went to grab drinks, and Jenna leaned in close to me. So close I could smell her perfume. "You know," she whispered, "if you ever mess up this marriage, Ethan won't be single for long, just saying." I stepped away, shocked. "Why would you say that?" She shrugged, eyes innocent. "I'm just protective." But protective didn't look like that. Still, the moment I realized her intentions fully didn't come until months later. It was late evening. Ethan and I were cooking dinner together, one of our favorite rituals. Jenna texted me saying she needed to talk urgently. I stepped away to call her back. She answered in a fake, broken voice and said, "I think Ethan's upset with you." My stomach dropped. "What? Why?" "Well, he told me you've been distant. He said he doesn't feel supported. He talked to me for a long time today. I'm worried about your marriage." Ethan never said anything like that to me. Not once. I felt cold all over. "He said that to you?" "Yes," she whispered dramatically. "We talk a lot. He trusts me." My heart hammered. Something wasn't right. Ethan wasn't someone who vented to anyone, especially not Jenna. When I returned to the the kitchen, Ethan smiled at me like always, kissed my forehead, and handed me a spoon to taste the pasta. No sign of tension, no sign of distance. So after dinner, I asked gently, "Hey, did something happen today with work? Or anything you talked about with Jenna?" He frowned. "Jenna, I haven't spoken to her today." "Why?" My chest tightened. "She said you told her you were upset with me," I whispered. Ethan's face changed instantly. Confusion, then concern, then something like anger, but not at me. "I never said that. She called me this afternoon and I didn't pick up. She didn't even leave a message." Silence sat heavy between us. That was the night I finally opened my eyes. Jenna wasn't jealous. She wasn't insecure. She wasn't protective. She was trying to wedge herself into my marriage piece by piece until I either broke down or walked away, leaving Ethan wide open for her to step in. And she thought I didn't notice. She thought I was too quiet, too gentle, too non-confrontational. She forgot that people like me don't lash out impulsively. We observe, we collect information. We wait. And when we set boundaries, we set them with precision. The next morning, I blocked Jenna for the first time in 10 years. Not fully, just muted her calls and text, stopped responding. Slowed down communication. I didn't tell her why. I didn't give her a chance to twist the story. It took exactly 3 days before she showed up at my house, banging on my door like someone owed her money. When I opened it, she barged in without permission, her face red with rage. "What is going on? Why are you ignoring me? Are you mad at me for something?" I stayed calm, too calm for her taste. "I'm busy," I said simply. Her eyes narrowed. "Busy? You always have time for me. What's wrong with you?" Ethan walked in from the living room. "Hey, Jenna, everything okay?" She turned sugary sweet in one breath. "Ethan, hi. I just came to check on you two." I felt like something was off. Ethan put an arm around my waist, something he always did naturally. Jenna's eyes followed the movement like a hawk's. I said, "We're fine. Just private stuff." Her smile flickered. Private, meaning she wasn't part of everything. She didn't like that. From that day onward, I began setting invisible lines. If she texted Ethan directly, I redirected. "Hey, Jenna texted. I'll reply." If she tried to plan hangouts involving Ethan, I declined. If she complimented my husband too much, I shut the topic down. If she brought up our marriage, I changed the subject instantly. Slowly, brick by brick, I removed her from the center of our life. She noticed, and she hated it. For the first time in years, I saw her mask crack. Her tone turned sharper. Her jokes became meaner. Her concerns became pointed attacks. "You're pulling him away from everyone. You're making him antisocial. You're isolating him." Funny, she said the same about me once. But the real chaos began the night of Ethan's birthday. We had a small dinner planned, just close friends. Nothing fancy. Jenna wasn't invited this time because I wanted a peaceful celebration. She found out through someone else, and she showed up anyway. She walked into the restaurant wearing a red dress like she was the main character in a movie. Her hair done professionally, makeup glittering. She strolled up to our table with a huge, confident smile, holding a wrapped gift. Everyone fell silent. Ethan whispered, "Did you invite her?" "No," I murmured. She put the gift on the table. "Happy birthday, Ethan." The room tensed. Ethan looked at me, unsure. I stayed expressionless. Jenna pulled out a chair right next to him, but Ethan did something that surprised everyone. He moved the chair next to me instead. Jenna froze for half a second, then forced a smile. "Oh, rearranging," Ethan said calmly. "Yeah, I want to sit by my wife." That moment, that single sentence, was when her plan cracked, but she didn't stop. She leaned forward. "Open my gift first." Ethan looked uncomfortable. "Let's do gifts later with everyone." No, she insisted. "Just mine, please," he sighed, trying to stay polite. He opened it. Inside was a tie, but not just any tie. The same style as the one she bought for him years ago when we were only dating, a specific pattern, navy with silver stripes. It was a gift she once bragged about giving him because she knew his taste better than anyone. Ethan stared confused. "This is familiar." Jenna giggled. "Well, I know what looks good on you." Everyone exchanged looks. Something inside me clicked loudly. She wasn't trying to steal him slowly. She wanted him right now. That night, when we got home, Ethan put the gift aside and held me close. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm realizing a lot now about her." I breathed out slowly. "It's not your fault." But I knew the storm wasn't over. That was only the beginning. After Ethan's birthday, Jenna went quiet, not completely. Not the kind of quiet you can rest in. It was the quiet of someone moving from loud attacks to hidden strategies. The silence that felt like the pause between lightning and thunder. The first rumble came 2 weeks later. Ethan came home looking drained, loosened his tie, and sat on the couch without saying much. I brought him tea and waited, because I knew him well enough to give him space. When he finally spoke, he didn't look at me. "Did you tell anyone we're having problems?" he asked. The question stunned me. We're not even having problems," he sighed. "Jenna told some people at the office that you've been controlling, that you don't like my friends, that you have issues with jealousy." My heart dropped. "Wait, she's talking to your coworkers about our marriage." "Apparently she ran into Mark and Sarah at lunch," he said, rubbing his forehead. "They said she was worried about me. They asked if I was okay at home." Heat crawled up my neck. "And what did you say?" "I told them we're fine," he replied, "that Jenna was being dramatic, but I don't like that she feels comfortable talking about my personal life to strangers." To strangers, but not strangers to her. This was her new angle. If she couldn't charm him directly, she would poison poison the well around him. I could have panicked. I could have demanded we cut her off immediately. I could have gone to war. Instead, I did what I had already started doing. I strengthened my boundaries. I told Ethan I'd like us to make one rule. If anyone wants to talk about our marriage, they talk to us, not to other people. He nodded without hesitation. I agree. No one, especially Jenna, gets to analyze us behind our backs. It was a calm sentence, but it meant something huge. He was choosing our side as a unit. The next day, I quietly began documenting things. Not in a dramatic, I'll use this against her way, but in a, I won't let myself gaslight myself way. Dates, times, moments, the things she said and did, all the subtle digs, all the twisted stories. When you deal with someone like Jenna, reality warps easily. They're good at making everything look like a misunderstanding, your fault, or you taking things the wrong way. I refused to lose my sense of what was actually happening. I also slowly stopped feeding her information. No more sharing fight details. No more venting about Ethan. No more telling her work worries, financial plans, or future goals. Our life became a black box she couldn't see into, and she hated that more than anything. She tried to claw her way in. "You've changed," she said over the phone one afternoon, her tone sugary and tight. "You used to tell me everything. I feel like you've shut me out." "I'm just keeping some things private," I replied. "It's healthy. For who?" she snapped, then quickly softened her voice. "I'm just saying best friends don't keep secrets." I didn't say what I was thinking. Real friends also don't try to steal your husband. Instead, I repeated calmly, "I'm allowed to have privacy." She ended the call with a clipped, "Fine. Be that way." Every time she tried to cross a line, I didn't yell. I didn't explain myself 100 times. I didn't beg her to understand. I just said no. That word is small, but it has teeth when you've spent your whole life saying yes. The more I refused to feed her, the more desperate she became. She started dropping comments in group chats where mutual friends were present. "I'm worried about you, Ethan. You seemed stressed last time. I hope she isn't making you give up your friends. Marriage should be a partnership, not a prison." She never used my name, just she and her. I read those messages with a strange clarity. She was trying to build a world where she was his savior and I was the villain. Even if he didn't believe it, others might. She needed an audience. Ethan saw them too. He looked at his phone, sighed, and said, "I'm going to say something." "Wait," I said. "Give it time." He frowned. "Why?" "She wants you to react emotionally," I replied. "If you do, she'll twist it. Let her keep talking, let people watch." He studied my face. "You've thought about this?" "Yes," I admitted. "For a long time." Because while she had been planning how to replace me, I had been learning something else. How to protect myself without turning into her. I started therapy quietly. I booked a counselor through my work benefits, went once a week on my lunch breaks, and told nobody at first, not even Ethan. Not because I didn't trust him, but because I needed one space that was just mine. When I eventually told him, he didn't take it as an accusation or a sign that our marriage was failing. He took my hand and said, "I'm proud of you." Therapy helped me see how much I minimized Jenna's behavior because of our history. She had been there for me through college exams, my first breakup, my mother's surgery. I didn't want to admit that someone who helped me could also harm me, but both can be true at the same time. My therapist said something that burned itself into my brain. Loyalty doesn't mean letting someone walk over your boundaries for years. Jenna wasn't owed permanent access to my life simply because she had known me for a long time. So I tightened the circle. I spent more time with friends who respected my marriage. Friends who asked how we were doing without hinting that they wanted a piece of it. Friends who liked Ethan as my husband, not as a separate prize. Slowly, people started noticing Jenna's pattern on their own. It happened at a barbecue. A mutual friend, Lauren, invited a group over. Ethan and I arrived together, hand in hand. Jenna was already there, talking to a cluster of people like she owned the yard. As soon as she saw us, she lit up with a big, fake, surprised expression. "Oh my God, you both came," she said, like we were the unexpected ones, not her. We smiled politely. Lauren greeted us with hugs and led us to a table. During the afternoon, I kept my distance from Jenna. I focused on conversations that made me feel normal, but every time I glanced up, Jenna was hovering near Ethan. At the grill, at the drinks cooler, at the music speaker. At one point, I saw her lean in close and touch his arm, laughing too hard at something he said. Before, that sight would have made my stomach twist. Now, it just confirmed what I already knew. And I watched something different this time. I watched Ethan gently step away. I watched him turn his body toward other people instead of her. I watched him move back to me like I was the center of his map, not her. When we got home that night, he shook his head. "I think I finally get it," he said. "Get what?" I asked. "What you were trying to tell me for years," he said. "She doesn't just like me as your husband. She likes the power she feels when she gets close to me." He went quiet for a moment, then added, "And I don't like the way she makes me feel responsible for her feelings." That was big. Jenna's main weapon wasn't flirting. It was guilt. That constant pressure that said, if you don't respond, if you don't comfort me, if you don't pick me, then you're a bad person. Ethan deciding he was no longer willing to carry that was not my revenge. It was his awakening. The next move came from him, not me. He told me he wanted to send Jenna a message. Not a fight, but a clear line. He wrote slowly and carefully, "Hey Jenna, I need to talk to you about something. I appreciate that you've been part of our lives for a long time, but some of the comments you've been making about our marriage are not okay. Please stop talking about us to other people and stop implying that I'm unhappy. If I had a problem, I would talk to my wife or a professional, not to you. Going forward, I'd like our interactions to be group-based and respectful of my relationship. He showed me before he sent it. My heart pounded as I read it. Are you sure? I asked. Yes, he said. This isn't about taking sides. It's about protecting what we have. Then he hit send. Jenna's reply came 5 minutes later. She sent paragraph after paragraph of anger. How could you say that? She's turning you against me. I've done nothing but support you. You're choosing her over your real friend. You're blind, Ethan. She's controlling you. He read the messages, exhaled slowly, and put the phone down. I'm not responding right now, he said. If I do, it'll be from anger. And that's exactly what she wants. Instead, he blocked her number for the night, and we watched a movie together. No discussion, no analysis. Just quiet, real-life two people on a couch with popcorn and bad dialogue on the television. The next day, the backlash started. Jenna texted mutual friends, painting herself as the victim. She said Ethan was cold now, that I had brainwashed him, that she was just trying to help, and we cut her out. Some of them believed her at first. Some stayed neutral. Some reached out to me privately asking what happened. I didn't send them screenshots or write angry essays. I just said, we're putting boundaries in place. We want our marriage to be private. I wish her well, but this is what's best for us. Calm, simple, no drama. People are used to loud explanations. Quiet, steady truth makes more impact than long speeches. The real shift came from what Jenna did next. She started overcompensating. If I posted a photo of Ethan and me at dinner, she'd post an old photo of her and Ethan at a party from years ago, writing, "Miss these carefree days." If Ethan shared a work win on social media, she'd comment, "I always knew you were destined for great things, die." One day she posted a long caption about losing someone you thought was your soulmate because of a controlling partner without naming names, but everyone knew who she meant. She thought she was gathering sympathy. What she didn't realize was that people had seen enough. They remembered the birthday with the tie. They remembered the group chats full of her concern. They remembered how often she inserted herself where she didn't belong. Slowly, likes on her posts decreased. Comments became fewer. Invitations stopped including her name. Her world shrank. Not because I destroyed her, because I finally refused to hold it up. Months passed. Ethan and I started couples therapy not because we were falling apart, but because we wanted to build something stronger now that we understood where the cracks had been. We talked about blind spots, emotional responsibility, boundaries with family and friends. We learned how to check in with each other before letting anyone else into our conflicts. We made small practical changes. If someone criticized our marriage, we didn't discuss it with 10 other people. We brought it back to each other. If one of us felt uncomfortable with a friendship, we didn't dismiss it as jealousy. We took it seriously. If we had disagreements, we didn't run to outsiders to vent. We saved the rawest part of our feelings for therapy and for us. And slowly, our marriage became a place I felt safe in again. Safe enough to breathe. Safe enough to plan. Safe enough to imagine a future without Jenna in it. I thought the story had reached its quiet ending. Then one afternoon, I ran into her. It was at a grocery store, of all places. I was standing in the produce aisle, comparing bags of salad when I heard someone say my name. "Wow," she said. "You look different." I turned. Jenna stood there in leggings and an oversized hoodie, no makeup, hair in a messy bun. For the first time, she looked small to me, not physically, but energetically. Like someone whose voice didn't fill the room anymore. I felt my chest tighten, not with fear, just with the weight of shared history. "Hi," I said. She laughed weakly. "You're not going to ignore me?" "I don't ignore people," I replied. "I just protect myself." She looked away, then back at me. Her eyes were red, like she hadn't slept well. "Everyone pulled away from me," she muttered. "You got what you wanted." I shook my head. "This isn't what I wanted. I never wanted you isolated. I just wanted my marriage respected." She scoffed. "You're always the saint, aren't you?" "No," I said quietly. "I stayed too long. I let you cross my boundaries for years. That wasn't saintly. That was scared." She blinked, thrown off. We stood there in the middle of the grocery store, two women surrounded by lettuce and bell peppers and a whole history of unsaid things. After a moment, she sighed. Her shoulders dropped. "Do you know how many people told me I went too far?" she asked softly. "They said I made everything about me, that I couldn't stand seeing you happy." I didn't answer. She swallowed hard. "I didn't want to lose you. You didn't lose me because I got married," I said. "You lost me because you tried to replace me in my own marriage." The words landed between us like a stone. She bit her lip. For the first time, there were no excuses on her tongue. No twisting of the story, just silence. "I thought he deserved someone more outgoing," she whispered. "He did," I said, "and he got that, with me, not you." She flinched. We stood there, strangers with a shared past. "I'm in therapy now," she said finally. "Apparently I have issues with boundaries and fear of abandonment." Shocking, right? There was a bitter edge to her voice, but underneath it, I heard something real, something raw. "I hope you keep going," I replied, "for your sake, not for mine." She nodded once, like she knew there wouldn't be forgiveness or a return to normal after this. Just a clear, quiet distance moments that would stay. I'm sorry, she said suddenly, not dramatic, not shouted, just small. I'm sorry I tried to make him my safety net, she added. I didn't realize how much it hurt you until everyone stopped talking to me and I was finally alone with myself. I believed part of her, not all of her, but enough to know she was at least looking in a mirror for the first time. I accept your apology, I said, but that doesn't mean I want you back in my life. She nodded, eyes shining. I figured I just needed to say it. We said goodbye there, over a pile of apples and oranges, and walked in opposite directions. When I got home, Ethan was cooking dinner. He smiled when he saw me. How was the store? He asked. I set the bags down and stepped into his arms. Strange, but good. He kissed my forehead. Want to talk about it later, I said. Right now I just want to be here. We ate together at our little kitchen table, ordinary and peaceful and exactly what I had been protecting the whole time. Later that night, when the house was quiet and the streetlights glowed through the curtains, I thought about everything that had happened. Jenna tried to replace me in my own marriage. She tried to rewrite the story so she was the devoted friend and I was the obstacle. She used attention, guilt, performance, and gossip as tools. But what she didn't count on was this. I didn't fight her with the same weapons. I didn't scream or publicly shame her. I didn't send long rants to everyone we knew. I didn't camp outside her drama and feed it. Instead, I did the quiet things no one applauds. I stopped oversharing. I strengthened my marriage. I chose therapy over rumors. I let people see for themselves. I said no again and again, even when it felt rude, even when it scared me. Those boundaries didn't destroy her. They just removed me from the circus she built. And without me there to balance her story, people saw it for what it was. In the end, I didn't ruin her plans. She did. I just stopped participating in them. If there's anything I learned from all of this, it's that not all revenge is loud. Sometimes the loudest revenge is living a life someone can't control, can't narrate, can't twist into their own script. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is quietly step out of someone else's narrative and write your own. And that's what I did. I stayed married to my husband. I divorced my best friend. And I've never felt more at peace.